Hey guys, it's On the Runner. Kayfabe. What is it? Well, it's kind of hard to describe. Better yet, let me explain to you what is wrestling. Or professional wrestling. Now, obviously, some of you would already have either, let's say, one of three answers. The first is, it's fake. The second is, don't know. And the third is, of course I know. I could list it every single one of you, every single WWE Hall of Famer that's ever been announced and even not followed through. So that's fair enough. I understand those three demographics. So I'll just put it down this way. Imagine you have two fighters, one you like, one you don't. They tee up, and eventually, through performing aerial, submission, striking, and grappling moves, eventually end up with a finish. 1, 2, 3, someone gets pinned, someone wins. So, basically, right away, it's almost like an interpretive dance, except with a lot of pain and physical anguish on the line. Now, you might be saying, that sounds like a sadist's dream job. Well, call me a sadist, but that's my dream job, personally. But really what I want to talk about here is the whole advent of WWE. I mean, we've all heard the name of the company, but not too many of us know what's exactly going on at WWE at the time. I mean, of this video anyway. And I wanted to use an example of really a problem that's underlined with the kayfabe of the company. And the kayfabe, all that means is the fantasy that it's real. Now, kayfabe can work one of two ways. Either you believe in it to the point that you think all of it is real, which is not the case, and you look kind of like an idiot when you say it is. And for two, it's the suspension of disbelief between knowing that it's staged and putting your emotions vulnerably on the line for the sake of the match, for the sake of entertainment. So it's really a noble game played through by the fans and by the wrestlers themselves. So, more or less, what's the problem with kayfabe right now? Well, obviously I have no problem with the idea itself. I implore it. You know, it's very special as an idea, because it's literally fans accepting the truth but taking the blue pill, so to speak. And it's fun. It's fun to pretend they're real and to pretend that, you know, what's going on is more than just the sake of a storyline. But I'll put it down simply. 3 problems that I personally think WWE has had so far. Actually, I don't know, 4. And what they've had not only with kayfabe, but with championships, but with tag teams, and with how they treat the wrestlers' gimmicks. So let's start with kayfabe. And like I was saying before, I wanted to use the best example I could think of that I saw, that I thought was disgusting as a product. So it's WrestleMania. I don't know which, but I think it's like 2013. The Rock cuts a promo. I'll just basically say him talking on a mic in the ring. The Wyatt family comes in. You know, it's obvious. Rock is the face. The Wyatts are the heels. Good guy, bad guy. Simple. Or bad guys. So The Rock basically says, let's have a WrestleMania match. And Eric Rowan of the Wyatt family steps in. And he steps in and he's this big, tough, burly southern man with a completely twisted mind. All of a sudden, Rock grabs him on the shoulder, lifts him up, rock bottom, he slams him on the back. That's it. 1, 2, 3, that's it. Now tell me, personally, was your intelligence not insulted? I get it. It's The Rock, right? He's, one of the biggest heels, like bad guys of all time. Who's incidentally one of the biggest faces / good guys of all time. Because he was. He was a phenomenal performer and he still is. And now he just does movies and that's cool. But the problem with that, number one, Eric Rowan looks weak. What wrestlers tried to do is put in a match and say who would win. Right? Doesn't that make sense? If you're a heel and you cheat, even if you have the lower advantage, you are disadvantaged, and you cheat, you can therefore beat an opponent, but still look weak. And then you get heat, you get hate. That's the point of stuff like that. Well, Eric Rowan, because of that, you want me to believe that Eric Rowan, if once he is slammed onto his back, that it is over. Once. In the beginning of a match, punches weren't even thrown. It was just rock bottom, that's it. It wasn't a minute, it wasn't 2 minutes, it was literally about 7 seconds. Yeah, probably the shortest WrestleMania match. Technically, if you want to call it that. So it makes Eric Rowan look like a pussy. It's plain and simple. Any bit of momentum he had, dead. Because he looks like a joke to everyone at WrestleMania. It doesn't make The Rock look good. You know why? Because it doesn't make sense. If Eric Rowan is that weak, that one thing that I'm pretty sure all of you at home, maybe not easily, but could do, the rock bottom. It's not complex. It's very simple of a move. Something average people could do. Slam you on your back and win. It doesn't make the Rock look good. Because if the Rock were to look good, there would have to be a challenge for him to overcome. Eric Rowan would have to look like a threat. So that way, when the Rock comes back, he looks like an actual competitor. And he looks good. That's what looking good and getting over means. And number 3, it breaks kayfabe. Because it doesn't make sense for this 6'7" giant to get slammed on his back and just openly give up, especially because his eyes are just open when he's getting pinned. His eyes are open, he's breathing, he looks pretty fucking normal. Either A, he's a coward, either B, he's a pussy, or either C, it's a publicity stunt. So either you're gonna make, for the rest of his career, or for this momentum you're giving him, either a coward or a pussy, or it looks like a publicity stunt. But wait a minute, this is kayfabe. This is supposed to be real. Now obviously it's been for many, many years, many, before the 90s, before the 80s, before the 70s, before the 60s, before any of that kayfabe was dead, quote unquote. Because although plenty of people were inducted into believing it, at the same time, you have to remember that it was already known that it was staged. So the problem in this scenario, why this WrestleMania match is horrible, is because it did 3 cardinal sins of a match. Didn't make either of them look good, and it broke kayfabe. That's the problem. Shit like that can happen in a ring. And it's the bookers who schedule and script the matches. It's their fault. It wasn't The Rock's fault. It wasn't Eric Rowan's fault. They probably didn't think that much of it, or they didn't think it was right either. Or whatever they thought. But it's just a mistake. Things like that ruin what little we have left as, one day, again, my dream job. I'm going to go out there and try it and try to be a part of that. You know what I mean? And I'm upholding that. I'm upholding breaking the laws, the foundation of the world we're building. No. I don't want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of what it truly is. Now, on the other hand, you got tag teams in WWE. Where the fuck are they? Because you got, Cesaro and Sheamus in the Bar. You got the New Day. You got the Usos. You got, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder. You got Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. I mean, you only have so many people to get over others. And then you talk about how you don't care about tag team wrestling when, in of itself, it's a unique art. It's different than the normal. The normal is just one dude versus one dude. Tag team is 2 dudes, 1 dude on the ropes, another dude on the ropes on the other team, 2 dudes in the ring. They have teams, and you have to tag one person in to make them legal and to make them fight. That makes much more interesting matches, usually, and it should. But they don't take advantage of that. I mean, they kind of used to. Even then, not always. Look, now they're starting to come open about how they want to start pushing the tag teams. Because AEW, All Elite Wrestling, a more recent promotion that just debuted this year, apparently is giving them, their superstars on the tag team, a big push. So, or a lot of focus anyway. So now they're like, oh, well, I don't know, maybe we'll take 2 of our main rivals. We'll take our United States champion, Shinsuke Nakamura, and then our contender, / ex-champion, Rusev, and then we'll just, make up some bullshit and then force him in the tag team. That breaks kayfabe. How does that make sense? I mean, if the whole storyline was about them proving each other to each other, them finding each other very respectable and honorable, and not hating each other, and then being like, well, you know what, maybe you're good in the ring, maybe, then it would make sense. But Shinsuke went to extreme lows to attack Rusev's wife, and get the fucker to hate him. Like, if someone attacked your wife or your husband, are you not going to be upset at them for the preceding year and rest of your life? Yeah, I would imagine so. It breaks kayfabe. Gimmicks. Gimmicks are characters. Gimmicks, each person portrays a character and a gimmick. Let's look at Dean Ambrose, one of the biggest faces / good guys, probably of the modern era. And don't get me wrong, he's a good bad guy. He's a good heel. Very good heel. When he was John Moxley on the Indies, oh, God, I love that. I base a lot of inspiration off of that. But, so you're going to turn him heel. That's fine. That's good. That's good. That's okay. Now, it makes people upset because he was so over, and it really doesn't make sense. Because what happened is he was injured for a year, and then he came back, debuted with his buddies Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, and ended up basically betraying Seth, and Roman announced that he had leukemia, so he left. So, yeah, it's pretty fucked up. So he turns heel all of a sudden, but wouldn't it make more sense if he changed as a person, that he would just come back as a heel? Doesn't that make sense? At least a little bit? Or why the fuck is he a germaphobe now? Why does he bring a gas mask to the ring? Why does that matter? Why are you forcing Dean Ambrose to not be Dean Ambrose? Then, why are you making Daniel Bryan, again, one of the biggest faces of the modern generation? Easily. He comes back. He announced that he would retire due to concussions, and then he comes back, and you turn him heel, and you make him a peace-loving tree hippie who hates everyone. That breaks kayfabe. Now, Vince, I know deep down that you probably don't care about it because you know everyone knows. But it still doesn't matter. The world still exists. All kayfabe really needs to mean is making the show make sense in a real world. Now, you can go a little bit wacky. You can make some crazy characters here and there because some crazy people exist. Some weird people. Some supernatural people. Some whatever. But if you break the meaning of the show, you break the meaning of the business, then you break the whole point of what you're trying to do. So, I personally am upset about that. And then, the championships. Yeah, okay. You have the WWE World, and then the US. And then, you have the Universal, and the Intercontinental. Then, you have the 2 respective tag belts, and then the 2 respective women's. Now, while that's decent, wouldn't it make more sense to have all these extra other belts for the mid-card, the lower guys you don't push as much? It could be more like real-life fighting if you have all these other belts, like, I don't know, the old WCW ones when you bought them out, Vince, and the old ECW ones, and then give it to the lower guys and even the upper guys. So they can have like 3 belts in one, and it still makes sense because most of your champions usually would have 2. Right? Like in boxing, the unified belts. And limiting the amount of belts you have only means that you limit how much more how many more props you can use. So just having 4 main belts and then the 2 other tag belts and then the other 2 for the women's isn't enough. Bring back the hardcore, bring back the European, bring back the WCW heavyweight, because we all know your new ones look like cookie cutter shit. Literally, it's the same design for each. It doesn't matter that they want to change it. They shouldn't have to. In real sports, they don't change their belts every 10 years. They usually stick around for as long as they can. You know what I mean? That's just personal. But it just really upsets me. And now that they could be doing worse, and doing worse and making more and more bad decisions, it's really hard seeing them pulling out of it as much. Like, if they want to get through this year and then next year and then that year after that clean and safe and become on the top again, because I think what happened is, the Monday Night War happened. WCW and WWF got into mad competition. ECW kind of tagged along. But obviously WCW got bought out by WWF, and ECW did as well. Vince worked so hard to keep his show alive. He was so desperate, so hungry, and so vicious. You know what I mean? He was so determined to win that and to stay the number one show that it made him the number one show again. But then he didn't have any competitors eventually. He bought out all the little leagues. He bought out everything. Obviously the indie still exists. And there are plenty of different companies that have still existed for a long while. But the truth is, he just doesn't have enough competition to push him anymore. And they've just made so many bad mistakes that it's like, well, I don't know how they're going to rebound. I don't know what they're going to do to rebound, or how, or why, or whatever. But I do want to say that no matter what, I do hope they do. And I do hope they become better. I don't want anything to be worse. I don't want, any person on the earth to be evil, or to be more insane, or more this, or more dysfunctional. I don't want anything to fail. But things will. And if they don't pick up the pieces, they'll start failing. And if they don't rebound from failing, they'll start going out of business. So, and that's just my opinion. Those are the problems I have in the modern day with WWE. So, I don't know. Give your thoughts, give your opinions, do whatever you want.